In this section, we will first study the anatomy of the cardiac silhouette as seen on the X-ray. The black pointer is on the right atrium. Now this is the superior vena cava draining into it, and this is the inferior vena cava draining into it. This is the right ventricle, the pulmonary valve, and the pulmonary conus which divides into the right and left pulmonary arteries. This is the left ventricle leading to the aorta and the arc of aorta. And this is a small projection of the left atrium laterally. The right border is formed by the right atrium in the heart region and by the superior vena cava above. A small portion of the inferior vena cava may be seen at the lower end. On the left side, the aortic knuckle forms the prominent convexity at the upper end. Below it is a smaller, less prominent convexity occupied by the pulmonary conus. From here, the left heart border starts. A small upper portion is covered by left atrial appendage, and the rest of the heart border is formed by the left ventricle. To revise, right border is a continuous structure, superior vena cava, right atrium and inferior vena cava. The left border is formed mainly by the left ventricle, but the notch between it and the aortic knuckle is covered by the pulmonary conus and appendage of the left atrium. Now let us come to individual chamber enlargement. The right ventricle. Enlargement of the right ventricle enlarges the cardiac shadow more on the left side than the right, but it tilts the apex upwards so that the apex is seen to be raised up. The enlargement of the left ventricle, on the other hand, enlarges the heart shadow only on the left side, and the apex moves downwards and outwards. This is a typical appearance of left ventricular enlargement, where there is cardiomegaly and the apex has moved downwards and outwards. Enlargement of the right atrium is seen as an enlargement of the right heart border bulging to the right of the spine. It is usually associated with right ventricular enlargement also. In this X-ray of cardiomegaly, note the enlargement of the right heart border to the right of the spine, indicating dilatation of the right atrium. This is right atrial hypertrophy. The enlargement of the left atrium first flattens the notch between the heart and the pulmonary conus, thus causing a straightening of the left heart border. This is also termed as mitralization of the left heart border, as it is typically seen in mitral valve lesions. Note the straightening of the left heart border in this X-ray. From the aortic knuckle to the apex, it is a straight line. This is due to enlargement of the left atrium. The second characteristic of left atrial enlargement is the double atrial shadow, seen as a dense, whiter, globular shadow within the heart shadow. This is better appreciated on the right side, where the X-ray contrast is better. Note this typical X-ray of double atrial shadow, an oval, dense white shadow within the heart shadow in a patient of mitral stenosis. Note in the close-up view the dense white shadow within the heart shadow due to left atrial enlargement. This is another X-ray showing a double atrial shadow. Note the straightening of the left border indicated by the green arrow and the double atrial shadow shown by the white arrow. This is left atrial enlargement. The shadow may not always be so clear, but as seen in this X-ray, a faint outline is often seen near the right heart border. Apart from the straightening of left heart border and double atrial shadow, the third sign of left atrial enlargement is elevation of the left main bronchus and widening of the carinal angle. And the fourth sign is an indentation on esophagus appreciated in a barium swallow in lateral view. At this stage, let us also learn the criteria for labeling an X-ray as cardiomegaly. The shape and size of the heart varies with the shape of the chest and build of the patient. So cardiac size is measured in relation to the chest size and expressed as cardiothoracic ratio. First, Draw a vertical line in midline through the center of the spine. The maximum distances of the right and left heart borders are measured from this line as A and B. Now A plus B gives the maximum transverse diameter of the heart. Now measure the maximum transverse diameter of the chest at its widest portion, measuring between the inner borders of the ribs. A plus B divided by C is the cardiothoracic ratio, which should be less than half. That is, maximum transverse diameter of the heart is normally less than half of the diameter of the chest. If it is more than half, then cardiomegaly is diagnosed. Now let us study the radiological characteristics of some of the common conditions of the heart, starting with the mitral valve lesions. The radiological features of mitral stenosis and mitral incompetence are similar, and we will study them together. There is a straightening of the left heart border due to enlargement of the left atrial appendage, which fills the concavity between the pulmonary conus and the left ventricle. This is also termed as mitralization of the left heart border. The other signs of left atrial enlargement will also be seen, that is the double atrial shadow shown here by the white arrow and elevation of the left bronchus. Secondly, there is enlargement of the left ventricle causing cardiomegaly, that is the cardiothoracic ratio is more than half. The cardiomegaly is proportional to the degree of mitral incompetence and duration of the lesion, and the apex is displaced downwards and outwards. As pulmonary hypertension develops, there is enlargement of the pulmonary conus and the heart border becomes straight up to the aortic knuckle. As you can see here, the pulmonary artery shadow may even become convex and bulge out. With the development of pulmonary hypertension, the upper lobe vessels, which are normally barely seen, become prominent and are seen as branching opacities from the hilum upwards, while the lower lobe vessels, shown here by the red arrow, become less prominent due to vasoconstriction. This is termed as antler sign or inverted moustache sign. With further increase in the pulmonary hypertension, interstitial edema will appear. So thin hair-like lymphatic lines, that is curly B lines in the costophrenic angle and curly A lines in the upper zone will be seen. And the hilar vessel markings will become blurred due to perivascular edema termed as hilar haze. In severe disease, pulmonary edema appears with scattered patchy opacities in the mid zones and lower zones, giving a bat swing appearance. The edema is usually more on the right side. Note the typical patchy opacities of pulmonary edema. This is another X-ray showing a cardiomegaly with pulmonary edema. Note the patchy consolidation more on the right side with fluid in the transverse fissure shown by the blue arrow. This is pulmonary edema. When congestive cardiac failure develops, there is usually an enlargement of the right atrium and ventricle causing a bulging of the cardiac silhouette on the right side as shown by the green arrow. The upper mediastinal shadow looks widened due to dilatation of the superior vena cava shown by the blue arrow. And the right dome of diaphragm may be elevated due to congestive hepatomegaly. In pure mitral regurgitation, the right atrium is so dilated that it forms a distinct convexity on the left border of the heart, and this, with the dilated right ventricle, gives a pentagonal shape to the heart. This is pentagonal heart in mitral regurgitation. Aortic valve disease. Aortic stenosis alone usually does not cause significant dilatation of the heart chambers except at a late stage with congestive failure. However, in many cases, calcification of the aortic valve is seen. Note the site of the aortic valve in the diagram. Aortic incompetence causes marked dilatation of the left ventricle with cardiomegaly in outward and downward direction. Note the typical left ventricular enlargement in this case of aortic incompetence. In contrast to the mitral heart, this X-ray shows no left atrial prominence and there is a pure left ventricular enlargement carrying the apex downwards and outwards. Now let us come to congenital heart diseases and first study the two common shunts, atrial septal defect and ventricular septal defect. Whenever there is a left to right shunt, the pulmonary artery is very prominent at the hilum and its peripheral branches are seen clearly, that is, the vascular markings are seen clearly up to the periphery of the lung field. This generalized prominence of the pulmonary vasculature due to increased pulmonary blood flow is termed as shunt vascularity or pulmonary plethora. If the chest is observed on fluoroscopy, the pulsations of the pulmonary artery are seen prominently, termed as a hilar dance. This hilar dance is another feature of a left to right shunt. So whenever shunt vascularity is seen, that is a prominent pulmonary artery, prominent vascular markings up to the periphery of the lungs, and hilar dance on screening, we know that a left to right shunt exists. In atrial septal defect, the X-ray may be normal if the defect is small. Later, the heart shadow shows right atrial and right ventricular enlargement. In ventricular septal defect, the heart shadow shows a left ventricular enlargement with very prominent pulmonary conus. With a small defect, X-ray may be normal. Note here the prominent pulmonary conus in ventricular septal defect. In tetralogy of Fallot, the heart has a characteristic shape likened to a Dutch shoe, termed as a boot-shaped heart. The apex, shown by the red arrow, is lifted up due to right ventricular enlargement. The pulmonary conus, shown by the vertical green arrow, is concave or shallow as there is pulmonary stenosis. And overall pulmonary vascular shadows are reduced, that is pulmonary oligemia. In this X-ray, note the typical boot-shaped heart with apex lifted upwards and a concave pulmonary conus shown by the green arrow. This X-ray shows the aortic knuckle on the left side, but in 25% of the patients of tetralogy of Fallot, the aortic arc is on the right side. In coarctation of aorta, the left border of the aortic knuckle and descending aorta may show the classic 3 sign if the coarctation is situated on the descending part of the arc of aorta. It is the site of coarctation itself with pre and post stenotic dilatations above and below. The heart shows left ventricular hypertrophy seen as cardiomegaly with apex displaced downwards and outwards. And in long-standing cases, the 3rd to 9th ribs show notching of the inferior border of the ribs in their posterolateral aspects. Note in close-up view the notching of the inferior border of the ribs in this case of coarctation of aorta. This notching is due to the dilated posterior intercostal arteries. In this X-ray, rib notching is present only on the right side, which means that the coarctation is proximal to the origin of the left subclavian artery. Note the wide and dilated aortic knuckle. Pericardial effusion. A pericardial effusion is detected on plain X-ray only when 150 to 200 ml of fluid is collected in the pericardial cavity. The heart shadow is enlarged and all the notches are blunted out, giving a smooth flask-like appearance termed as a leather bottle heart. The heart border is very sharp as the movements of the heart pulsation are blunted by the fluid, but the cardiophrenic angles are sharp and acute, unlike left ventricular hypertrophy. The cardiomegaly is massive with large amount of fluid collected in the pericardial cavity. Now see this X-ray with a massive pericardial effusion. Note the globular or leather bottle heart. Note the sharp and stenciled heart border. Note that both cardiophrenic angles are acute. Compare the obtuse left cardiophrenic angle in left ventricular hypertrophy with the acute left cardiophrenic angle in pericardial effusion. Note again the left cardiophrenic angle in left ventricular hypertrophy and the acute angle in pericardial effusion. This is another X-ray showing a large pericardial effusion. Note the typical flask shape, sharp stenciled hard borders, blunting of all notches, acute cardiophrenic angles, and reduced pulmonary vascular shadows. In this X-ray, note the thin rim of calcification along the left heart border. This is pericardial calcification. Pericardial calcification suggests constrictive pericarditis where there is no significant cardiomegaly but patchy calcification of the pericardium. Dextrocardia. When the main cardiac shadow lies to the right of the midline, dextrocardia should be suspected, provided that there is no significant lung lesion pushing or pulling the heart to the right side. In this X-ray, note that the heart shadow on the right is an absolute mirror image of a normal heart. This is dextrocardia. The apex of the heart is on the right side and the aortic knuckle is seen on the right side. Of course, one must be certain that the X-ray is correctly labeled. If the mark R is mistakenly put on the left side of the X-ray plate, a wrong diagnosis of dextrocardia may be made. So if in doubt, a clinical correlation and fluoroscopy should be done to confirm the diagnosis. In this child, there is dextrocardia with the apex on the right side and aortic knuckle on the right side. Now note that the air in the stomach and intestines is located on the right side with the liver shadow on the left. This is situs invertus where all abdominal organs are also on opposite side. This is another case of situs invertus. Note the dextrocardia with the apex of the heart on the right side, aortic knuckle is on the right, the stomach bubble is on the right with liver shadow on the left. Now observe the lower lung fields. Note the patchy opacities and tiny cystic areas in the medial portion of the lower lobes suggesting bronchiectasis. Clinically, the patient had copious expectoration. This is Cartaginer syndrome, dextrocardia with situs invertus with bronchiectasis. So, in a case of dextrocardia, first check that the X-ray is correctly labeled. Confirm that the aortic knuckle is on the right. If the aorta is on the left, then it is not dextrocardia, but a normal heart pulled to the right by a lung pathology. Then check the stomach air bubble and liver. If they have changed their positions, then it is situs invertus. If situs invertus be present, look for changes of bronchiectasis in the lung fields. Now we will study some more X-rays. This X-ray shows number 1 marked left atrial dilatation which is presenting as a convexity on the left heart border. Number 2 left ventricular enlargement with downward and outward displacement of the apex, a picture consistent with mitral regurgitation. Number 3 prominent upper zone vessels suggesting pulmonary hypertension. And number 4 patchy opacities on the right side due to pulmonary edema. Now this is a diagrammatic representation of the same X-ray. Left atrial dilatation, left ventricular hypertrophy, prominent upper zone vessels and pulmonary edema. See the X-ray again. Left atrial dilatation, left ventricular hypertrophy, prominent upper zone vessels and pulmonary edema. This X-ray shows number 1 a prominent pulmonary conus and vessels. Number 2 left ventricular hypertrophy and straightening of the left heart border. Number 3 right atrial and ventricular enlargement. And number 4 prominent upper zone vessels of pulmonary hypertension. This is the diagrammatic representation showing prominent pulmonary conus, straight left heart border and right ventricular hypertrophy. In this X-ray, the blue vertical arrow points to the prominent upper zone vessels. The left heart border is straight and shows left ventricular hypertrophy. The right heart border shows dilatation of the right atrium and ventricle, and in its upper portion, dilatation of the superior vena cava, seen as a widening of the mediastinum on the right. Dilatation of superior vena cava is a sign of right heart failure.
Standing X-ray of the abdomen.